Well, it's Thursday, 8 p.m., and it's another West Virginia call-in show from the Voice of College Football. And I have here with me Eric, and we're getting ready to get after Utah. 4 weeks in, what are we, 4 weeks in?
Yeah.
And we still don't know. What West Virginia has. I'm hoping with this game coming up, we're going to talk about the matchups and everything, but I'm hoping West Virginia finds an identity. Someone steps forward, circa, Bernardic going down and Pat White coming in, that type of vibe. Need some synergy, right?
Yeah, we don't know who we are yet. We've got 4 games, and 2 of them looked pretty decent, and 2 didn't. So big questions, still a lot of unanswered questions. And like we said at the beginning of the season, this is going to be a great one just to watch and see where it goes.
The Mountaineers come into back home, limping back to home. I don't know. I lost count, but I'm thinking I have 11 people listed that are not doing too well. So
yeah, I saw 8 on the injured
right.
list.
Yeah.
So, but
8 and then 3 with hurt feelings. So let's just see what happens there, right? Rich Rod's good for crushing someone's feelings. I love that. But
yeah,
we're just hoping after this week, hard edge doesn't turn into a plastic white butter knife, because that's kind of where things are going. And I'm not trying to be negative. It's just, let's be real. Up and down, up and down. Mountaineers could come in, we don't know, and shock us and pull out a victory. It's home. There's a lot of good things happening in Morgantown when there's home games. The turnover margin might be in their favor. Last week, Utah got turned over.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about the outline before the game. What's the first thing you want to talk about for this West Virginia call-in show?
Real quickly, why don't we go over their offense against our defense? Let's start, strength on strength.
Okay, they have a quarterback and two tackles. These 2 tackles remind me of Nestor and what's the kid with W? Willow.
Frazier,
and who was the kid? Wylam.
Wyatt Milam. Sorry, yeah.
Wyatt. So Wyatt and is he's in the NFL now. Zach Frazier in the NFL. Nestor, I think he's on a practice squad somewhere, but he's still playing in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Those are big shoes to fill, and for Utah to have guys of that caliber, it's going to take the new guy to get his legs under him, Jamori Robinson, and have a great game.
I completely agree. And if you watch the game, Texas Tech Utah game, their defensive end had a hell of a game. Very athletic. He got a lot of pressure on their quarterback, and that really seemed to affect the game. They couldn't get much. They couldn't get their usual passing attack going. And I've heard, I mean, there's a lot of scuttle going on around about this, but that their quarterback might have been injured, maybe not. And so the idea that maybe you can get to the quarterback, maybe he's not as mobile, maybe you can pressure him. Texas Tech found a way to limit their passing productivity.
Yeah, they did. And Texas Tech kind of, when you think, okay, this is a weak spot, and you see them kind of, get after it and kind of turn it around. And that game was, how can I phrase it? It was good, but ugly. It was really ugly the first half. Really tough to watch. Every time you thought, Utah was going to get some momentum, Texas Tech stopped them. Vice versa. As soon as you thought Texas Tech was going to maybe go on the offensive and get a couple scores, it wasn't until the second half that Texas Tech showed that they were a much better team. Texas Tech did it with the second string quarterback. I'm just hoping the Mountaineers are able to utilize the fresh new faces that we have, whether it be Jalen, whether it be Max, or who's going to step in for Nico? I don't know. Hopefully Eric is still there, but no, guys, if West Virginia doesn't turn us around this week, I'll tell you what, it's going to take a couple games for Rich Rod to kind of figure out what's going on, because looking at the depth chart, there's a lot of skilled players that are Daklich last week had a fumble late in the game, looked pretty strong running it, but he coughed it up. Someone did the peanut punch on him. Utah has a good defense and can force some turnovers, but I'm just praying that the Mountaineers don't have to just rely on one aspect, because even if the defense holds, I'm doubtful that the Mountaineer offense can put more than 21 points up.
Yep, sorry about that. I'm back. A little bit of technical difficulties there. My stand is failing tonight. Yeah.
Oh, stand fell over. There you go.
That's right. So along those lines, so the notion of our defense, I'm going to kind of wrap that up while I was pulled away there. Our defense is going to have to continue to perform at a high level if we want any chance of this. And I think that people feel fairly confident with that we can at least put a good showing on the field. Now, you're right. Their offensive line, it's supposed to be one of the best ones they've ever had there. Like you said, I think they've got they definitely have two NFL caliber linemen. But to me, I'm going to jump over to where, that kind of puts that to sleep. That you got a shot there. Defense keeps you in the game. But here's to me, it's really the deciding factor. Can we finally get an offense on track? And the notion of, Nico's not going to be ready to go. I think everybody's pretty well aware of that. This is Jalen's shot. And quite honestly, I don't feel horrible about it. Jalen has had success throwing the ball, just not here. If you look at his stats, yeah. So maybe he finds his accuracy. I think his footwork is kind of, and I don't know. That's one of those things that it's hard to say what's been causing the problem. But I think the notion that if I would love to see Rich come out with a primary running attack, and if you've got some fleet-footed runners, you've got a shot. Now I'm hearing that Cannon Katzer, could be eligible. I don't know that he's going to make it this weekend, but Jalen is certainly a very talented runner. He himself can make a difference. But I'd love to see if we can get a way to get teams to stop pinning their ears back and just coming at us. They'll load that box and they just bring all of them. And that's killing us. That's why we're not getting time to find receivers. If we can just find a way to somehow negate that pressure. Whoops. I'm just having all kinds of problems.
A couple plays, a couple pass plays, keep them honest, would help Jalen kind of settle down and be able to kind of establish maybe shoot a couple up the middle like you did 2 games ago, or
I'd love to see outside. Pull Gallagher in here.
What's that?
Pull Gallagher in there. We have some outstanding slot receivers in Gallagher. Preston Fox is supposed to be, he's a probable. I think those are 2 guys that are underutilized. I'd love to see them be more the attack. And you can get some short routes and get the chains moving. And like you said, once you do that, then you can't be rushing everybody quite as much. You've got to hold some guys back in coverage. And at that point, if we can just get one aspect of the offense running, get the ground game going, which at this point I don't think we can until we get some short game going with the throws. That's going to open up the run, which then in turn should open up time for long pass plays to Cam. So, yeah, we got to get the offense with some productivity. 10 points. We've had 2 outings this year of 10 points. We got to stop laying an egg like that.
No, and you look at the stats here, it kind of paints a picture that isn't as bleak, but it's still not fantastic. But total points for, points against, West Virginia's averaging 24 a game, and they're holding their opponents to 21. Unfortunately, that big blowout is what kind of skews that a little bit. As far as, efficiency, yards gained, West Virginia has done pretty well. Now, there was that last quarter in against Kansas that kind of on the back end kind of padded the stats a little bit, but I think we might be just in a panic mode. But I would be, if I was the head coach, I'd be panicking too if a lot of my key players are injured and hurt, because we talked last week about how the NIL, Texas Tech has players that are, they're pretty deep because they've spent some money in the portal. I don't think West Virginia, other than quarterback, is quite as deep as, at other positions, especially the offensive line. Moving forward, I'd like to see West Virginia maybe spend a little more money in that position. But does money really translate into good offensive line play? I don't know.
That's an excellent question, and to kind of pull the example from Neil Brown's era, Neil made some excellent points. I mean, like him, dislike him, whatever. It all starts at the offensive line.
Right.
And the notion of just finding that level of talent strictly based upon their size, you're talking a very small sample of the human population. Forget anything else. There's just not a lot of guys that big out there. Now, you also throw in a concept that I don't know that we want your traditional linemen. We've got to have guys who have better than average coordination and footwork, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. The good news is that those guys, you probably have a little bit better chance of finding those guys, because those guys are typically they're not your Alabama and Nebraska type linemen that are just
10-pound guys.
Yeah, they can be a little smaller, but that's because they're a little bit more fleet of foot. So what do you think, man? What do you think about running back? What are your thoughts about this week? I mean, Ty Edwards, do you think he's got a chance to come back?
Now he's listed. Now we had the list there, and it was like probable. There are all kinds of different categories, and a lot of them look the same to me, like probable and doubtful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that Groundhog's Day. It's 12 more weeks of spring or 12 more weeks till a fall. It's all the same thing. It's just how you word it. I don't know if you hold him out an extra week so that you have him for TCU and Colorado. What about Nico? I mean, here's something that I'm throwing out here, and I'm just a rabbit hole. We had this happen with if you're not a West Virginia basketball fan, we'll try to make it as cut and dry as I can. But basically, a basketball coach here at West Virginia left. His son got hurt, and he probably could have kept playing with still hurting that shoulder, but he pulled the plug early. Do you think Nico's pulling the ripcord so he can bail out and maybe get an extra year of eligibility?
Buddy, I was going to ask if we could talk about this.
I just did. I just brought it up.
There you go. Well, thanks for opening the door. I'm running through it. Look, I don't fault him if he does. Nico, I'm a fan. I really like that young man. I think he's got a great future. Very intelligent, very capable. I don't know that he's mobile enough for this offense.
No.
And I think you have to be, because in particular with this year's line, which not to beat up on them, they've already gotten, pretty beaten up. They're not doing great. And so it reminded me of, to jump on the Wayback Machine, not to exclude anybody who doesn't match my demographic for our chat, but Brad Lewis was a quarterback here for the Rich's first year, and Brad Lewis, we timed his 40 with a calendar. It wasn't good. Now, I love Brad Lewis too, man. He was a lot like Nico, very intelligent, great passer, but just not fleet of foot. Now, I will never forget, there was a game and Rich was furious. Rashid was not picking up the offense as quickly as he would have liked. He had Brad Lewis in there, and Brad understood the offense. Like I said, Brad's super high IQ,
Yeah.
but my God, he was just so slow. And I'll never forget that from about, the time Brad hit the hash, that the hash mark on the field, it was, it was it was fourth and long. And as Brad's leaving the field, Rich was chewing him out before he even got to the hash mark, and he continued to chew him out, and it was ugly. I didn't want to say much about this, but I'm going to. I saw the same thing happen in last game. Nico's coming off the field, and Rich was chewing him up one side and down the other, and Nico just walked right past him. Now, I don't think that means the love affair is over or that there's hatred, but I think it's a matter of, Coach, I've heard it. It's not good when you see that sort of thing.
Right.
I think everybody sees the writing on the wall. Yeah, exactly. It's frustration is what that is. I think the writing's on the wall. I wouldn't blame Nico if he left. He's a great quarterback. He'll work out great somewhere else. I don't think it's going to work out here for him. He would have to have a better line, and he would have to have like Ty Edwards at least in the background to help.
As we said last week, it has to be a combination. You don't. That's why applesauce is usually served with pork chops. I don't know why. It just works. And Edwards and Nico, that's applesauce and pork chops, in my opinion. You got to have them together. And I just think with someone that isn't mobile, you have to have a strong, powerful running back that can kind of punish you and break through. And I think Tim Green agrees 100% with us. He says Nico needs a better offensive line to protect him. That's what he needs to succeed. I think all quarterbacks need that to make those plays downfield. I see that on the Steelers podcast. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers not getting much time. He has to just release that quick. But he has years and years of experience to read and be able to do that. You're talking to kids that have been playing ball. Maybe they've been playing ball since they're 12 or 8 or whatever, but they haven't been reading defenses up until maybe their senior year of high school. So it's only been 2, 3, 4 years, 4 years if you're lucky. So they just don't have that experience. And with a different coach, different expectations, it makes it tough. It makes it tough for these young men. But opportunity is out there for somebody to grasp it. And I'm hoping this week we see some output. I mean, I have homecoming for my kid. Friend of my wife's getting the tickets and going. I hope they have a good time. Get to see the throwback unis. It's still going to be a great. And I don't want to sound like Neil Brown saying the weather's nice, but it's going to be a nice weekend. I'm just hopeful that it's a competitive game, because if it's a competitive game and the Mountaineers lose, at least there's still hope. When hope is lost, the program suffers, attendance suffers, and it just makes it harder week to week to keep your chin up and to think the glass is half full. But
so, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to remind everyone, this is year 0.
Yeah. And again, not to sound like Neil Brown, poor Neil's taking a beating here on the show tonight. But I think he proved he could take it. I really thought a lot. I thought very well of Neil. Didn't agree with a lot of his coaching decisions, but I think he's an intelligent coach. And I think he'll work out somewhere else. That being said, this is the kind of season where you look for things you can build on, because right now you don't have all the pieces, and a lot of the pieces that are critical, they're injured. Those players, we have a lot of players that are key players that are injured, and we don't have the depth. So you look for things that you can see that you can build on. Quite honestly, I'm anxious for Scotty Fox to get another shot. I really like Scotty. I think out of everybody who's been in there, I think he's got the most immediate turnaround potential. I think if they can get him calmed down a little bit or just roll him out. I would love to see our offense just roll the quarterback out. They already want to be mobile, these new guys. Just roll them out. And that way they can make 2 reads. They don't have to read the whole field. Make 2 reads. You don't see what something you like, either run, tuck it and run, or just throw it. Just throw it out of bounds. Make it easier on them. I think if
Yeah,
we can do small things like that, we could actually just get something started.
yeah, I think Nico, or not Nico, but Fox has a very high ceiling, but it also has an easier chance of just stepping on his crank. You know what I mean? That old saying. Uh,
Yeah.
where I think the window for just variation on how they perform for say a Jalen is probably your safest bet. Max Brown, I think, is a fantastic athlete. Last year, he made some bad passes due to the fact that he went from Florida to like a small school. Didn't really have much line help. But Max Brown is another guy I'd like to see. I'd like to see Max Brown out there. He can make some throws, played some ball against SEC opponents. Uh, when he is on, he makes like fantastic throws to the outside corner where no one else can catch it. That's something I don't think Fox quite has down yet. But Fox is so mobile and so energetic, and it just the energy is there. Like when he goes on the field, you feel like okay, it's that same feeling you had when you had like some of the key players from 15, 20 years ago. But let's go to the chat here and see what they're saying. At least we still have basketball season coming up. Yeah, he's Ross Haas, the boss. He's getting after it with recruiting, and I think they're going to be pretty good. So we'll talk about that.
Timothy, that's a great point. There's a lot of noise coming out about the basketball team.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we don't talk a lot about basketball on here because it screws the algorithm up, but you can't help when the football season is kind of rolling around. Usually, Eric, we are talking basketball about November. Like, Mountaineers are going to play in the the Southwest Missouri State Celebrity Classic in Joplin, or no, Springfield's where Southwest Missouri State is, but they're going to play some bull crap bowl where it's not freezing, but it's not like warm. But I don't think that's going to be the case this year. So yeah, we're definitely thinking about basketball season even earlier, Tim, for certain. But Tim says, I think Jalen would be our best bet as well. Yeah,
I agree. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just said he's a safe bet, Eric.
Well, he was really, I think he was Rich's top pick to be the mobile quarterback to run the offense. It just hasn't worked yet, and I don't know if it's a matter of like we said, he's had a lot better passing success in previous seasons. It's just that this season, it just for some reason he just has not. But I'm hoping he can kind of get that turned around, and whether he does or not, I would love to see, like you said, Max Brown was. I'm waiting for Max. Love to see what he can actually do.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think you're going to see some of Tyler Jacklich again, possibly. You're going to see Ash. Who else? Who else are you going to see running the rock this week? Maybe Hubbard.
I heard Hubbard was getting some carries. Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as they get some production from those guys to keep the quarterback upright, I think Rich Rod will find a way to get some yardage. Now, Zach Allen, what's that?
Before we run away from that, did you see some of the stuff that Mountaineer Paul put out about Cannon Katzer?
Yeah, talk about Cannon Katzer, because I'm trying to remember that cat. The name sounds familiar.
So he had film from he did a real nice breakdown on him, but he played at Washington State, and I tell you, he looks really good. He had some nice runs there. He's another guy who's got some speed. He ran away from, in the film that Paul broke down, he ran away from defenders. The big thing I saw that I was like, ooh, we need to get this guy in. So first of all, he was just cleared. So that's why he hasn't been there played yet. He wasn't cleared.
I was wondering what the situation was, because I was like, I remember the name.
So he just became eligible, but he's someone who can run through. God, he is. His legs are like tree trunks. He's not a big guy in stature, but he's got solid legs.
Low center of
And
gravity problem. Yeah.
yep. And so he's shifty, he's quick, and then he's got a little bit of speed on the end. So he's able to run through the first, point of contact, which is really nice. That's critical. Like we were saying, that's why Ty Edwards is so valuable. But Cannon looks like he could do that too. And especially with such strong legs and low center of gravity, he's going to be able to make some jukes, power through that first line tackler. And at that point, once you start doing that, defenses can't pressure, bring everybody on pressure. They've got to keep more people in the box instead of advancing through it.
Yeah, that definitely. I did see. I was listening to him when I was driving today, and I did hear him talk. Also, Mountaineer Paul was talking about Jackson Johnson coming on the show, and I like how he's stood up for Jackson. We love Jackson. He's every time I can't get the StreamYard to work for the Voice of College Football, I call Jackson Johnson. He's like, it's this, and he can remember who coached what year at every institution. He is just an encyclopedia. Love him to death. I'm so glad that he goes on Paul's show on a weekly basis, representing the Voice of College Football on the Locked On brand. But yeah, I mean, Washington State, they play some decent ball. I did not get to see video, but I'm very excited. Do you think I don't think he's going to play this week. Do you think they might see him just out of pure necessity?
What do you have to lose? Don Nealon used to say, if you're getting thumped, just put the dogs in, just let them run, because at that point, what do you have to lose? And if nothing else, you get people re-energized about playing. They're going to start working harder, and guys who were getting in, they feel that competition. So I think it helps everybody. If you're down by 11. Maybe you're not having much success. Yeah. Why would you not?
No, I agree. I think that's the main thing is just that spark, that energy. Let's move on for the last half. Let's talk about around the Big 12. There's lots of games going on. I'm going to pull up the schedule here. A lot of games going on in the Big 12, and I just want to highlight some of them.
Hey, while you're doing that, can I mention something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Something, if we are to have a chance this weekend, which I think is, look, everybody who watches this show is very much a Mountaineer loyal fan. We always want to compete. Some things I think need to happen. We mentioned Jamari having a good game. We mentioned some things for the offense. Got to get some one aspect of the offense firing, which should open up others. Something we don't talk about a whole lot is field position. And Don Nealon was big on that. We've got to start doing better. 3 guys before the game had pointed out that this is a long-standing kind of thing. If you can get a 10-yard advantage, field position advantage, starting position, that's usually enough to pretty much guarantee your win, all other things being equal. We've got to do better about even if we don't score, we got to be able to move the ball so that we can, balance out that starting position if we're to have even a chance.
That's so true. I mean, I see it in high school. I see it in college and in the NFL. It carries through all the sport. If you could flip that field and pin someone back, it gives them more real estate that they have to eat up, and it gives you more chances to. Because what it is chances. You go to Vegas, and I give you 15 opportunities to, hit a jackpot, and then I give the other guy 5 chances. Who has the better chance of winning? Big. And it's good. It's just what it is. It's just odds. For crying out loud.
That and then like we'd mentioned before, when you looked at the statistics from the last game, they had almost the same number of first downs. So how is it that they scored so many more points? Well, because they didn't have to cover as much field. So fewer numbers of first downs results in more scores. I'm sorry, buddy. Take us away. A lot of good games this weekend.
That's a great point. I was looking at the stats. It isn't reflective of just like last game, you talked about the the field being flipped and them having a short field. That's why the stats don't look that bad, even though
Yep.
the score was terrible, because they're getting the ball in the 50, they're getting the ball in the 45. Mountaineers there were a couple times it was I'm like, please, no safety. But Afton, welcome to the show. So close out the show. We're just going to go through some of these games. Last week, the only one that I think I picked that no one else picked was the Texas Tech one. But Alabama, Georgia. What do you think of this game?
Man, I am so excited. First, there's a lot of great games this weekend. This is going to be a good weekend. This is going to be a great matchup. The two programs have the connections with the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping Georgia has a great showing, because this could be between the two programs, I'm leaning towards Georgia these days. That I think they've got more going on with the program. What are your thoughts?
I flip a coin, but I'd say Georgia.
Yeah.
Another coin flip here. Game day is going to be traveling to Happy Valley. There's going to be a whiteout. It's not snow. It's a bunch of Penn State. Every Penn State fan wears a stupid jersey, and it just kind of weird. They wear New Balance shoes and a white jersey. I've seen so many kids at Penn State games rocking that. It's just crazy. But Oregon travels the whole way from Eugene to Happy Valley. Have to take what? Two jets. Man, that's going to be a head scratcher. But I think Penn State wins that one finally.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game. I begrudgingly agree. I've been kind of hating on Penn State ever since Franklin made sure to put up style points on us in both games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think they're going to be able to pull that out.
But go Ducks.
There we go.
So this is one that's interesting. So BYU, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go first. I think Colorado pulls an upset.
Oh, against my now see, I picked BYU to win, man. Okay, lay it on me. What's going on?
No, so let's look at some other games here. Of course, guys, we got some bangers. St. Francis and Bucknell. Yeah, there's some schools you want to go. St. Francis and Bucknell, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State. Virginia Tech is in the cellar. Man, tickets last week you showed me were going for $3.
I know, and I only had two. I really wanted to go to that game.
Oh man, you can't even buy scratch offs anymore for $3.
No, that's rough.
That's rough. Now we hope they come back. But here's another one I want to touch on: Arizona,
Yes.
Iowa State. Arizona has been not doing that well. And the beginning of last year, they were picked to do great things, and they just finished in the cellar in the Big 12. Iowa State, on the other hand, is in contention to possibly play for a Big 12 championship, maybe even college football playoffs.
I got to agree. I think they're gonna. I think there's a. I picked BYU to win the Big 12 at the start of the season. I think that Iowa State's going to do it. They're looking really strong, and I do think they're going to sneak their way into the playoffs.
Yeah, Iowa State or Texas Tech, and the great thing about Iowa State is I don't think West Virginia has to play them this year, so that's
yeah.
We talked about those other two. Now, Kentucky, South Carolina is going to be a fun one just to kind of flick through and see what's going on there. But that's all I have this week, kids. I'll tell you what. Let's go to the chat here before we wrap this show up. Let's see. What's Tim Green saying? Tim Green says Penn State can run the ball. They have two deep and offensive linemen, if not three. Yeah. They're stacked. They got some studs there, and also their punter. Have you seen their punter? He's 6'6", 310 pounds.
Good Lord. They've got a history of having big kickers.
Yeah, and he kicks too. Yeah, so he's a monster. Iowa State will throw the ball all over Arizona. They have a good quarterback. Arizona,
Yep.
Iowa State, man, talk about a program that turned it around the past 10 years. They've done that. So, well, this was a great show, shorter show, just because there's so much uncertainty this week with the Mountaineer program. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to go down a bunch of rabbit holes and doom and gloom. But we'll be here on Monday at 9, and then we're going to do it again on Thursday. This is Thursday, the call-in show at the Voice of College Football. Eric, thanks for once again giving us a great show, and I'm just hoping the Mountaineers are competitive. They find their star, the guy that's going to be selling those jerseys at the pro shop, and we're going to be seeing that jersey 10, 15 years down the road on some young college student that gets dad bod and it doesn't fit him anymore, right?
Love it.
Okay, well, guys, we're going to see you off with the great state flag of, well, it would be West by God, Virginia. So have a great night, all.